What's going on YouTube? It's your boy Polo Evolve and I'm back with another video. I know it's been quite some time since I've made a video on YouTube. I've still been trading. I've still been doing my thing. I've been doing a 100K, like a road to 100K challenge. And this is like a shorts series. So I've been dropping episodes every Monday to Friday for the last, I think I'm like on episode 36, 37. It's on all platforms: YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. Is that yeah, those are the only three that I have. It's under Polo Evolve. So if you guys want to follow me on all platforms, go right ahead. And yeah, so quick little recap on where I'm at with that. I started with one funded account on for that challenge, right? And this was sometime in February. I think it was like February 19th. I started. I secured that funded account, started the challenge, and got like a $1,400 payout. I think like 2 weeks later, and then used those profits. Got a stack of 5 funded accounts. Then got a 5K payout just last week. After that payout, though, I did end up crashing out. Unfortunately, I lost maybe 2 of those accounts. So I had like another 5 to 7K in payouts loading from those 5 accounts. So they were pretty much, the balances were quite high. But then I had one tilt day and it ruined a lot of the progress. A lot of those accounts, I would say like 3 of those accounts got blown. And then 2 of those accounts, I just took another $1,000 payout from one of those accounts today. Or yeah, like last night, today basically. And the other account is, or both of them are now at like 1,300. And I did secure 2 more funded accounts just last night. So I have a stack of 4. That's where I'm at right now. Nonetheless, I have gotten some payouts. Of course, we have spent quite a bit of money on evals as well. Um, we're in profit for the month, just slightly, probably like 3 grand, which is not terrible. But at the same time, I am looking to get to the point where I'm able to get consistent payouts. And the reason why I crashed out, and there's probably a lot of reasons why, I had to figure this out. And I think it has a lot of, I can't even talk. It has a lot to do with the fact that every time I post about a win on my social media, mainly like Instagram, because Instagram is where a lot of my, I guess like friends and people from my community follow me. So it's kind of, it's like a psychological pressure on my own head. I know no one gives a fuck. I know this. I know this deep down, but there's something that, I don't know, ticks me every time I post on Instagram. Um, and I don't know, I end up crashing out after every single big payout. This might just have to do with my issue with greed, right? Because I blew those, I blew a couple of those accounts and I blew a lot of profits. Why? Because I deviated from my trading plan. So that's like the biggest reason why. Like I can dance around this topic all I want, but at the end of the day, I know the reason why I blew those accounts or I blew all that profit was because I deviated from my trading plan. Every time I stick to my plan, yes, it's boring. Yes, it's monotonous. Every day I do the same shit. And like, there's no excitement to trading. I know if you guys are a trader yourself, you understand what I'm talking about. Every time I stick to my plan, before I know it, the money rolls in. I'm looking at a payout request. And the reason for this is because most of y'all's systems, trading systems, they work. But you, as the operator of the system, you need to make sure that you are operating at a high level. And so when it comes down to it, it has a lot to do with psychology, right? I think everyone's problem is psychology when it comes to trading. Like learning technicals, learning how the candles move, learning how charts look like, whatever, how price action moves, all that shit is really easy. Or it's not easy. It takes a little bit of time to learn, but it's learnable. It's the psychology factor that a lot of people, including myself, struggle with so much because in order to become consistently profitable in something like trading, you need to master yourself. You need to understand why you do things a certain way and how you can mitigate all of the bad habits that you do make on a day-to-day basis. Because the less you do these bad habits, the better off your trading will look, right? And the more profit that you will come in contact with naturally, naturally, really. Um, and this is just something that I'm working on personally myself, right? And currently right now, I am working a 9 to 5. It's basically a 4 to 12. So this is a big sacrifice that I've made in my life in order to propel myself forward, right? While everyone else around me is well, I'm 28, so everyone around me is basically getting married and starting their lives, and just like head first into their own career, doing whatever, and just like living their day to day lives. But me, I'm taking a risk. I am working this job. I'm taking care of my mom who is bedridden, so I'm like a full time caregiver as well. And then I'm also trading. So this is the one thing that I have put my marbles into, and if it works out, it works out. If it doesn't, it doesn't. At least I'm trying, right? That's the one thing that I think a lot of people need to hear is that I think nowadays the biggest risk you can take is working that 9 to 5 because it's not even guaranteed anymore, man. Like 40, 50 years ago, you could work a 9 to 5 and you would end up retiring with that company. But nowadays, if you don't serve the interest of the company or you make a little mistake or there's an immigrant out there who is willing to do the same amount of work or maybe even more work than you do for less, half the pay or something, you're out of the job. You're getting laid off. And this happened to me too, right? In 2023, no, 2024. 2024, I was working a tech job, right? I was working a sales tech job in 2024. Everything's great, making money, I'm making commission, I'm making a salary, doing all these things. I go to the office, there's snacks, beer. I'm not really a beer drinker, but I'm just saying, like the office was one of those startup type vibes, right? And it really felt like a good job, and I'm really against the 9 to 5. Like I'm not against it. Like I understand it's a stepping stone, but it's not something I see myself doing personally for the next 40, 50 years of my life. With that being said, like this job in and of itself was great because, the more I would perform, that's how sales works, right? The more you perform, the more you will, more money you will make, which is great. And we ended up getting laid off, me and my homie at this job. So my homie's the one that got me a referral into this to get an interview for this job, and he was heavily invested as well into this job. I on the other hand, because of my mindset about 9 to 5s, I don't really give a fuck. Like I just go to the job, make my money, and like just the least amount of conversating that I need to do. That's what I'm doing, and so when we got laid off in 2024, it was a big shock, especially to my homie. And 'cause he was like a top performer at this company. Like he really should not have gotten laid off. Me, myself, I could understand that. Like I was like half-assing my job and I just do whatever, like the bare minimum. Not the bare minimum, I'd still make sales. I still make money. Of course, getting that commission check was great, but yeah, I didn't really give a fuck. And I say all this to say because there's a stark difference between my mentality versus my homie's mentality. So I personally always looked as a 9 to 5 as a stepping stone, right? And in a sense, my homie also looked at it like a stepping stone, but at the same time, he had a lot more riding on the line, which means he had a lot more responsibilities. He had some things to pay, bills to cover, people depending on him. And it's not to say that I don't have that either, but I'm just saying he was much more distraught about getting laid off because he expected some sort of loyalty. And I say all of this to say you no longer can expect loyalty from companies. I don't think you ever could, but definitely 40, 50 years ago, you could work the same 9 to 5 job and you'd end up retiring, with a nice little pension, whatever the case may be. It's no longer the case, brother. These people, these jobs, they don't give a fuck about you. They're just looking to extract as much as they can from you, squeeze as much as they could from you, and then that's it, bro. Let you go for someone that's going to do double the work for half the pay, maybe. And so, with all that being said, I don't want to be a doomer. I'm not trying to come off like a doomer, but I do want you guys to understand that you got to bet on yourself, bro. The biggest risk in 2026 is working a 9 to 5 because these 9 to 5s do not give a fuck about you. They'll lay you off like that. So, actually betting on yourself and taking a risk, doing something a little unorthodox is the way to go, I feel like, right? And how many people work their job and they absolutely fucking hate it? Every day they wake up and they dread going to work. What kind of life is that, bro? Because the way I see it is like if you're in your 20s or 30s and you're expecting to live until like maybe like 60, 70, 80, I don't know. I don't know how, whatever the average expectancy is. You got a long way to go, buddy. And if you're already dreading your life right now, like it's cooked, bro. It's cooked. So you gotta, again, listen. You're gonna go through a period of life where you're gonna have to grind like crazy in order to get out of the current situation that you have put yourself in. Yes, you, because listen, at the end of the day, the situation that you're currently in is a byproduct of all the actions that you have taken up until now, right? So what makes you think that if you continue the same actions for the next year, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, then anything's going to change. Nothing will change. If nothing changes, then nothing will change. And I want you guys to understand that going into I don't know, I guess like one quarter of 2026 has been completed. So going into quarters two, three, four, you guys got to understand, man. This is the time to make these moves, man. It's time to make those sacrifices, and if you have to, and sacrifice is very important, right? Like I'm working a 4 to 12 shift right now. Like I fucking hate that shit, bro. But it's necessary, Like in order for me to get to another level, a level I've never reached before, I gotta do shit that I've never done before. And so I'm not really comfortable working this shift, but at the same time, it pays bills and it allows me to focus on other aspects of life that are actually going to move the needle, right? So when it comes down to trading, I have time in the morning to focus on trading because I'm working the night shift or evening shift, whatever. And what you will notice is a lot of people are not willing to make this shift in life or these sacrifices in life. And that's why they will stay the same for a very long time until they either decide to start making these sacrifices or, just come to terms with the fact that this is their life and that's it. It's kind of sad, but I mean, shit, bro. I'm working on myself. You guys should work on yourselves too. That's really the message here. Not everyone's going to understand this message, is what I'm saying, right? And not everyone should understand this message because there are winners and losers in this world. And hey, I'm just playing the game, bro. I just picked up the controller and I'm playing the game. That's really what it comes down to. Because the way I see it, life is like a game, bro. And I just want to get a high score. That's really what I want to do, guys. But yeah, I think this video is going to end real soon. But nonetheless, thank you guys for tuning in.